big article in, I believe it was the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, saying that we are, maybe in the New York Times, one or the other, that we are headed for potentially 21st century crime lows. And they were saying, boy, we can't even figure out what's going on. And they said, this is especially unbelievable because there's way more guns now than have ever existed in the history of the United States. This was one of the lines in the article where liberals were trying to, I think it was the New York Times, come to grips with why violent crime, notwithstanding the story we just told you in Cincinnati, why violent crime is declining precipitously all over the country in many different cities while police are able to do their jobs. But the article actually said, but there's way more guns on the street than ever before. It's not guns on the street that is the issue. It's guns on the street in the hands of bad guys. Guns on the street in the hands of good guys can actually make us significantly safer. And there was an awful story that happened over the weekend, and I was thinking about it because I just was up in Traverse City, Michigan. And I know many of you out there are traveling northern Michigan. It's beautiful in the summer. And I appreciate, again, the guys who had me up there for several days. My wife's from Michigan. But this guy deserves a great deal of credit. There was an awful story. Guy went into a Walmart and just, it sounds like is a psychologically unstable, insane person that had been known to authorities up there quite a long time. I believe stabbed 11 people in a Traverse City, Michigan area Walmart. And then in the outside, in the parking lot, the stabbing suspect was restrained by several people in the parking lot, including a guy named Derek Perry, who is a former Marine. I know Marines out there say you're never a former Marine, but was in the armed services. And he had a gun on him. And he pulled that gun out and restrained this crazy person, ended the attacks. And we don't know what motivation this crazy person was acting under. But I do think that people like this who are heroes and stop evildoers, perpetrators of violence, deserve to become famous in a way that the serial attacker who desires fame does not. We try to avoid sharing those people's names. But on the flip side, this is an example of somebody who saw a violent act happening. We were saying in Cincinnati, most people weren't doing anything. Here in Traverse City, this guy, Derek Perry, pulled out his gun and stopped this attack from continuing. And I do think we can spend a little bit of time here saying, hey, we're letting police do their jobs again. And also good citizens out there. There does seem to be a positive momentum overall in declining the amount of violent crime that is occurring all over the country.
Everybody is safer when a good citizen has a firearm, who knows how to use it, who is a lawful carrier. This is, an eye appendix carry sometimes down here in Miami. I should do it really all the time, but it's tough because there's not a lot of room to, I'm just being honest, not a lot of room to conceal carry. So this is why my brother, when you see my brother Mason, and he's got a fanny pack on, he's not carrying lip gloss on the fanny pack. That I can tell you. There's a very good way to conceal carry down here. Or not lip gloss. You know what I mean? I mean chapstick. Lip gloss, if you all other kind of thing.
Well, it's Miami. It's Miami.
You
There's not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not there's anything. Yeah, I'm just saying it's different kind of stuff. But yeah, concealed carry in a fanny pack, fanny pouch, whatever you want to call it. I think there's different names for it. It's a very good way to do it. My point merely being that everyone around you is safer when a good law-abiding citizen is carrying, and we see this play out over and over and over again. So much of the objection to firearms from the left and the Democrats is really just it's actually philosophical. It has almost nothing to do with crime. There's a cultural level and a political philosophical level. The left opposes citizens being armed because culturally they think of guns as belonging to the bad people. Not the bad people, right? The bad people might be criminals. No. I mean bad people like they don't like them. Trump voters, people that are proud to be in red states, people that don't agree with them on abortion or don't agree with them on immigration tend to have guns, right? So there's just this culture. It's just a culture war issue. If somebody sits down with me, Clay, and they say, "Oh, hey, I saw a video of you. You and your brothers were all out at the range last week, and that's awesome. I'd love to come. I'd love to come sometime." The chance that I'm going to agree with them on a whole lot of other things in life is like 90, 95%, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's very high. It's not 100%. So that on one level, that's an issue, or that's how that the issue goes. And then on a political philosophical issue, I mean, every firearm in an individual citizen's hands is a reminder to the state that there's a little personal act of rebellion going on here. Like there is a line at which the state cannot and shall not cross, and that's a very foundational philosophical difference. The left, Democrats, socialists, they want the state to be able to just flip a switch, as we saw during COVID, and have absolute and total control over you, to include life and death. They want that control and power over you. And when you have an armed populace, when you have an armed citizenry, that's a very different calculation.
I thought you would appreciate this too. It was the New York Times, which explains this being the headline. After surge during pandemic, homicides fall significantly. What they have tried to do is not connect the BLM anti-police movement with the surge in crime. Because as we have pointed out on this show, the surge in crime didn't happen until May of 2020, when suddenly every cop was a bad guy. They couldn't even put cops on television shows. And we started hearing, hey, maybe we should replace the police with domestic workers or whatever it is, the social workers. Domestic violence scenes don't need police officers. So they're still trying to say, oh, this all happened because of COVID. But now homicides are coming back massively. And I think it's quite clearly because cops are able to do their jobs again. And again, this is not a 100% representative survey. But this year, for instance, Chicago's murder rate is down 33% compared to last year. St. Louis, 22%. Baltimore, 24%. Denver, down 45%. And these things are happening in most cities nationwide now. And I just think it's interesting because the talk had been, oh, police are awful, police are awful. And as soon as you let police start to do their jobs again, then, oh my goodness, guess what happens? And so anyway, I do think that's yet another positive that isn't getting very much attention. I don't think it's coincidental that Trump has come into office, that he has said, hey, cops, let's get bad guys off the street. Let's keep violent perpetrators behind bars. And let's get all these illegal. Did you see the stat? I think it got CBS dunked on. There was a report, hey, Trump has only deported 700 and something murderers. And people are like, only? Murder's pretty rare. Like, if you can kick 700 illegals who are guilty of murder out of the country, the violent crime rates can start to improve. Now, they're still too high, all of those things. But I did think, again, economy, border, crime, when you look at the data, I don't know that very many people are talking about this. I think the FBI deserves credit. I think the Trump administration deserves credit. In 2025, if we are going to set potentially 21st century lows in murder, that's a very good thing. And I think it's largely because police are being able to do their jobs. And I think also guys like Derek Perry, who have weapons and see bad things happening and decide, hey, I'm going to stop this. They deserve credit for helping to create a culture that is the opposite of the culture of, hey, let me just get my phone and take a video of a random guy committing an act of violence. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to stop it in any way.
Yes, well, again, the way the media covers this is always aligned with their ideological position against guns. So they try to downplay the fact that there are so many instances of defensive or even good Samaritan firearms use. Sometimes you don't even have to shoot; you just have to have the gun, right? You can hold the gun on somebody. You can, prevent the shooting or the stabbing from continuing. So it's The evidence on this is very clear, but that's why, Clay, I mentioned the philosophical points. It's not about what the crime numbers are, because there's no argument to be made. Gangbangers don't care how much you hate guns. They're going to find a way to get guns. There's hundreds of millions of guns in circulation in this country. They're going to have guns no matter what. You're not stopping the gang members by saying, well, we're going to make it extra super special illegal if you get a gun now. We're going to limit your magazines. We're going to get rid of AR-15s that have scary appendages on them, or that is about lawful gun owners sticking your thumb in their eye as the commies. That is what it has nothing to do with actually limiting crime, because it never works. If it was about that, eventually they would recognize that their policies are failures. Once you understand that the opposition to guns it's not about gun violence, it's not about gun crime, unless you're just a complete ignoramus. It works with the ignoramuses, but the people that actually understand this argument and know the numbers will tell you, oh no, those who are running these places, these different NGOs and the Democrat apparatus that is trying to constantly pass more gun laws, as if we don't have enough gun laws. It's always about, I don't like the people who own guns, and I want the state to have more control. So it's a philosophical thing. They use the crime thing as a means of mobilizing the gun grabbers out there. So I have no tolerance for it. I find it the people. It's also an issue, by the way, where the Democrat media doesn't feel the least bit embarrassed for knowing absolutely nothing. This is where the chainsaw bayonet thing came. Remember that on USA Today? Have you seen this? AR-15 could be fitted with a chainsaw bayonet. And then, of course, chainsaw bayonets totally sold out because it's such a fun novelty item. Like, no one's breaking into a liquor store like, give me all your money or I'll get you with my chainsaw bayonet. But they're idiots on the subject. They don't care because it's about they don't like the people that have the guns. And so I always try to explain this to people in that way. So then it all makes sense. Then you get that Clay and I can sit here all day and talk about the good guys with guns and all the good things that happen from a society with law-abiding gun owners. They don't care. They want to control you. It's a means of control, and they want to separate people based on whether they support guns or not, so the gun people are bad people. That's it. That's as simple as it is for them. Everything else is just noise and make-believe with the statistics. Let's talk about saving lives another way. Preborn. Preborn is doing incredible work day in and day out. Their individual actions as an organization led to 67,000 children being brought into this world last year alone. The team operating the preborn clinics nationwide provide pregnant mothers with support and assistance as they choose life for their precious unborn baby. And the way that Preborn starts this process off is by providing the gift of an ultrasound. It's not a trick or a gimmick, most honest and vulnerable experience they can provide at no cost. That free ultrasound lets that mom meet her unborn child in the womb, hear the heartbeat, see the tiny movements within her. And so often that's the turning point. The mom realizes, I have to give life to this child. This is my baby. But they need your help. Preborn needs your help to be able to do this. $28 per ultrasound is the expense they have. $28. And they can bring in a mom and give her that free ultrasound. Preborn operates these clinics nationwide in places where abortion rates are highest, so they can be on the front lines and save as many babies as possible. So please consider a donation today. And honestly, if you can, do a monthly recurring donation. You can set it up easily at the website. Monthly recurring donation of $28 would mean so much. Every month, you would be providing that ultrasound to a mom who is making that critical decision. Go to preborn.com/buck, preborn.com/BUCK, or to use your phone, dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, say baby, sponsored by Preborn.